What's up, everyone? I'm Lee, and today I just want to talk about how I got into technology a little more in detail. I know we've kind of mentioned that we've transitioned from being mobile notaries, which I'm actually wearing my old mobile notary shirt. I guess old habits die hard. But anyway, talk about transitioning from that into moving into a technical role. So for those who don't know, I'm currently working as a cloud solutions architect here at AWS, or Amazon Web Services. So with that, that means I'm just pretty much working in cloud computing, helping companies migrate to the cloud, helping them understand the value proposition of what AWS has to offer, and really just kind of amassing a bunch of technical skills. But that's just one way to kind of get into cloud and get into technology in general. But just want to kind of go over a little bit of like what's been happening here in detail from my perspective. Made a transition in December of 2021 is when I started working for AWS. And before that, I was working in my business. I had just left. I was working for another company in 2020. And this was my second time taking a jump, making a risk for another job, for another business opportunity. So I was at the time making more money and doing notary work part-time than I was making full-time on my job at that time. And, hopped out, came into this field full-time in February of 2021. And it was great. Like I said, I was making like $8,000, $9,000 sometimes a month. And then my wife, she ended up quitting her job as well, and joined me in doing this. And we were making a good 12 to 15 some months. And then it quickly started to make a turn for the worse. We started to see things kind of start to get a little more saturated. We started to see those offers coming in at a much lower amount than what we were used to. We had a couple of direct clients, but yeah, it just wasn't kind of working. So October was the worst month that we had ever had. We went from, again, making 12, 10, 15 to we only made $2,000 that month. And, we have kids, we just had our third kid, and that is not enough money to raise a family at all. So quickly, I started to kind of do some research. I was a part of a Facebook group. I think it was like for husbands at that time, and there were people in there talking about cloud computing. Not even just cloud computing; they're talking about jobs. Like someone posted, "What are some jobs that I could make 6 figures quickly without having a degree or experience in the beginning?" And I was looking through all the comments. I was like, truck driver. I didn't want to do that. And then I kind of came across cloud computing. It was like, you can, go from being in, you could take 6 months to cloud essentially. And I saw a guide that was like basically very detailed on what steps you can take from day one up until 6 months. What certifications, what type of technical background, using, learning things about Linux, learning about things, and surprisingly not really learning about coding. That really wasn't even an aspect. I know some coding, like I've been studying Python, but I'm not really like a strong coder at all or programmer. So that's not really necessary skill set, but surprisingly, that's pretty easy to learn. So technology is really broad, but just kind of going back into it, I saw that opportunity and was like, what? I've always been interested in doing technology in general, but I didn't want to have to go back to school and get a computer science degree. I didn't want to go back to school and have to just, I already got so many degrees already. I didn't want to do it over again. So honestly, I was like, this could be a good opportunity. I was very, very skeptical of it. I was extremely skeptical at the idea of like, you can have just a few certificates and do some labs online to get experience and then get a job in cloud doing that. And that didn't seem believable to me. But what I didn't know is that at that time, cloud computing was still fairly new. At this point in time, AWS was probably the longest in it, and that's only 15 years in it. Google Cloud had just kind of came out with their cloud services, and then you have Microsoft and some other companies. And for those who don't know what the cloud is, think you store stuff in the cloud, like you store your photos in like an iCloud, for example. If for people who use iPhone, I don't know what people store on Androids or anything like that. No shade. But for real though, I don't even know. So anyway, cloud is just basically you rent someone else's data center. Instead of having data centers and servers and storage on your own on premises, you rent someone else, other major companies, and you pay as you go. So I'm trying to make sure I keep this like super simple, because that's not the point. But anyway, I made a decision to go in the cloud in October of 2021, that same month that it was like really bad. And in November 19th, I had an interview for AWS. Actually, surprisingly, right, it was crazy. I actually applied for the position, and they gave me an assessment. And when I got that assessment, I was like, oh man, like doing all this studying, I'm watching YouTube videos. And I took the assessment, and then the recruiter calls me and she said, you did so well on the assessment, we're going to skip past the phone screen. Now, keep in mind, I thought I had bombed it. I thought I bombed the assessment. And I was like, I don't really know anything. At this stage, I don't even have a certification, and I wasn't even in a couple of weeks into the 6 months to cloud guide. So, I had a very supernatural story. November 19th, I interviewed, tough loop interview, and that same day I was offered a position, making over 100,000. So like it blew my mind that was even a possibility, and that they were willing to pay someone with really no experience directly to cloud. Now, granted, we really don't put enough weight on what transferable skills we actually have. I didn't look at the transferable skills that I had that would really be applicable to this role. As a solutions architect, there is some customer facing part. They're looking for people who can also communicate these highly technical things in a way that a CEO or someone who isn't technical can understand. So, understanding like 5-year-old level, the kindergarten level. Anyway, though, so I started that job December 6th, and I've been working in technology now for over a year, in cloud technology for over a year. And it's been an amazing experience. I've learned a lot. AWS in general is a great company, despite what you may be reading in the news about Amazon and all those things. But definitely an awesome company, and I'm glad I got my start there. Now, some things I would have did differently though, and really if I could go back, and you know what I would do, and I want to do this from perspective, like if you're looking to get into cloud computing, I want to give you like the blueprint of what I was going to do. I'm going to post this guide in the comment or in the description, but there is a 6 months to cloud guide. As I told you before, it literally goes like week 1, you look at this, and it provides you either the videos, the book, it provides you all this stuff. Now, keep in mind, this is free. A lot of getting into cloud and the resources to actually learn it are free. There's things like Free Code Camp if you want to learn some coding stuff. I mean, AWS has a skill builder website. Google Cloud has a skill booster website. Like all the major cloud providers are offering free resources to learn their cloud, because again, this is such a new technology. And at this stage, not even half of the market has actually moved into a cloud, has even moved to the cloud in general. A lot of people are still hosting their stuff on premises, which basically means like they're hosting all their servers, their storage where they are. And that really makes it really hard for them to kind of scale. So we're still actually pushing people to understand the value proposition of what the cloud can provide for them. And with that, there's a major need for people to kind of get into cloud computing. Again, this is fairly new. There's a lot of opportunity in it, and there's a lot of opportunity for growth there. So I would recommend you go through that guide. If you're interested in doing cloud computing, I recommend you sign up for AWS Skill Builder website. If you're interested in AWS, I recommend that you would join Facebook groups. There are some Facebook groups. I would speak specifically for from the Black people out there. The Black Cloud Geeks group, Terrell Jackson is awesome. Black Cloud Engineers, the D'Amico's Chambers, he runs that one. So some of you who may already be interested in cloud have already kind of heard of them. I'll post those Facebook groups as well for those of you who are on Facebook. And there's a huge community out there and a huge push for free resources if you're interested in going to technology from a cloud computing perspective. Now, there's other ways you can get into technology too. You can get into technology if you don't want to do anything that's really technical. The non-tech roles would be like program management or product management, even some project management for people who are interested in that. And those are really just more so understanding the basic things there. Also, tech sales, right? Like that's another hot topic right now. It's a low barrier of entry in a sense. What I mean by that is that you don't need a degree at all for that. You can kind of come in with the high school diploma. I mean, there's literally testimonials out there of like 19-year-olds who left high school and now they're making $85,000 doing tech sales, on track to make $200,000 OTE. And we talked about that a little bit in that tech sales video that I posted some point this week. But for anyone who's looking for that route, who doesn't want to actually have to know the product that well, or really know how to code or program or how this thing works or architect it or engineer it, then that's a good opportunity for you too. If you just want to, you're a people person, you like to sell stuff, you are a good communicator, you're good at writing, you're just someone who has a wonderful personality that people will want to hear and talk to and buy stuff from, right? Because that job is pretty much, you're selling it's people stuff, and then there's people in the organization that kind of handle the technical selling aspect of you for you. That's very similar to a lot of cloud and technology and SaaS, which is software as a service companies. So let's do a quick recap, okay? For anyone who's looking to get into cloud now, I know my way of getting into cloud, again, was it was God. It was definitely God, and it was also my transferable skills. Like, I do have a lot of degrees. I've tinkered with technology over the years. But what I found was interesting that even in all of that, when I was doing my interview, no one ever asked me what my degree was in. No one even cared I had a degree. They didn't ask for my transcript. No one wanted a copy of the degrees. They just wanted to hear what experience have I had in the cloud. Like, did I do any labs online? Which, again, I'll post resources on what that means for people who are completely new to this and are just cloud curious. These labs are pretty much just how you practice with getting experience using these platforms like AWS or Google Cloud or Azure for Microsoft. And they just really want to know that. Like, they just ask me, what's your experience? Or what do you know? Like, what technology area have you been studying and you find interesting? They're very concerned with just behavioral type questions, like how do you handle certain circumstances? And it's really your capacity to learn, your intellect level. Like, do you have the ability to be taught this? There's a lot of early career opportunities out there for people who don't have a lot of experience. At AWS, that may be like TechU. TechU is a thing. There's early career programs. There's Google Cloud has this Jumpstart program. There's a lot of different resources out there for you to get into the cloud and to explore it and kind of break into this. Again, the non-negotiables is you have to get some experience with it. Sign up for those accounts. Look at the resources that I posted in the description for this video. And if you have any questions after that, or anyone wants to talk to me or connect to me directly, my LinkedIn is in the description in the about section for the channel. So you can feel free to DM me on there. You can reach out to me for any questions. But I just want to encourage people that if you're looking for something different, if you're looking to not have to go in the office every day, I know from my mobile notaries, that's being on the road a lot, then this is a really good chance for you, to do something that keeps you at home, pays amazingly. I've never seen an entry level position where I got paid six figures. I was working for federal government, and it was probably going to take me 30 years when I projected to even make what I make now. And this is just the beginning. I've been meeting people who's earning, they're just making a lot of money doing this. But that's not the reason to get into it. One thing I really want to make sure I emphasize before I end this video is that just because there's a lot of resources out there, just because there's a lot of opportunity to learn it, just because there is a high demand, does not mean that it's guaranteed that you're gonna get a role in it. You have to still be willing to kind of work hard for it. My strength is just the networking component. While I didn't have a lot of experience in cloud, I'm amazing at networking. I've got just in front of the right people to at least give me a chance to explain how my skills can transfer over to this role. So I encourage you to really look inside, and decide to determine hey, is this something I'm interested in? Beginning also is don't just ask the general questions of how do I break into tech, right? You want to actually figure out what is it you want to do in technology. What is it what roles are interesting to you? What culture of company that do you want to join? So I actually asked some people on LinkedIn, for advice for that as well. And I'm going to post a link for that too, so that you can kind of follow that if you have a LinkedIn and seeing what people who've been in the field all this for many years are recommending you do. Again, thank you for watching this. Like, share, and subscribe. Is there anything I didn't cover or anything you want to make a video on next about being in cloud technology or how to get into technology? Then post those comments in the description or in the comment section. And until then, see you later.